I'm Jabari Willis, forward of the Atlanta Silverbacks.
My name is Ruben Luna, forward of the Atlanta Silverbacks.
And you're watching SBTV.
Beto Navarro, go by Beto. I'm currently playing for the Atlanta Silverbacks. My position is center back. Who is Beto Navarro? Beto Navarro is a Mexican American. I was born and raised in California, in the city of Delano. Both of my parents are Mexican. They were born in Mexico, which is one thing that I'm very proud of. And just growing up, man, I was raised by just a mainly Mexican family. And it's something that I've kind of, I've kind of adapted to. And I've always kind of stuck by that Mexican pride, I guess, if you want to say. That brown pride, like many people say. And just growing up, everything I remember going back was just soccer. My parents always were big soccer fanatics, my dad especially. My uncles, they all grew up and were raised around soccer. And I remember just as a little boy, my family was always stuck to the TV on Sunday mornings watching the Mexican League. So I remember that passion that they had for the game. So I kind of grew up, kind of adapting to the same thing and just kind of growing up around what we know as football. So, growing up that's really what I remember, soccer. And my parents were always strict about school, which is something that they were always very, very strict about. Why? Because they never had an education growing up. They were born, obviously, and they were raised to something much different than I was. They were as younger kids, they were thrown right into the work field. Growing up, they'd help their parents. Work in the field, which is what many people in Mexico are really just accustomed to. Growing up, I always admired the attacking players because I actually grew up and it's a funny story between Milton and I. My roommate, teammate Milton Blanco I grew up playing an attacking role as a player. I actually played forward and attacking mid, center mid role. So growing up, I was always looking up to the attacking players, and I always remember growing up, I'd be compared to Carlos Hermosillo, who physically we were compared. Why? Because that guy has a bigger chin, so I'd always get made fun of. They call me Carlitos Hermosillo. I grew up looking up to Cuauhtemoc Blanco as a child. His skill is on another level. Not many players in Mexico can play and make soccer look that easy. Oh, and then as I grew older, obviously I started playing different positions. I got pushed to the back as a center back, which is something that I loved and I adapted to. So now I really look up to center backs and players from Europe. Players like Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, players like that. Now we have many players like what's his name, Thiago Silva from Brazil. So these are all center backs that are playing at the high level, and they're players that I like to learn from. I like to watch day in and day out what they do, so I can kind of grow as a player myself, just from what I can pick up from them. Obstacles, I would say, I consider myself pretty blessed. To begin, just to start off, I don't consider myself unfortunate one bit. I know there's other people who are unfortunate, who can't even run, can't even walk, and I feel just blessed being alone, being able to run, play what I love to do. But if there were any, I would have to say growing up, we grew up in a very rural area. The city is Delano, California, so there's not much going on in the city. The next closest cities are Bakersfield and Fresno, but there wasn't much attention to soccer, if you say. I guess there weren't many clubs growing up, so all we really played was just the local leagues, Mexican leagues. So I remember my father, who's always supported me, both of my parents. I thank them every day for what they've done for me. My father always coached me as I grew up, and from what he knew and I was able to pick up on some stuff. But he had a little team all the way up till I was 13, 14, up to then. And most players are already playing at the club level. They're playing maybe academy level in Southern California or even Northern California. But Central California, there wasn't many clubs, many opportunities in that aspect. So growing up, I had the coaching that I needed, but I didn't have that further coaching, I guess you can say. Another obstacle, I guess, was, not really having above financial, fortune that other people have. Not that I'm unhappy with how I was raised, but other people had other stuff available to them, and my parents have always done what they could. I mean, my mom was able to, obviously she had a bachelorette degree. My dad wasn't, on the other hand, so it was kind of a little tough growing up, kind of with expenses and all that stuff, travels. When I was 14, 15, playing for clubs, I remember we'd have to drive out all the way to Southern California for the club team that I was playing. So it got a little tough at times, but thankfully, my parents always found ways to get me there to the tournaments, to practices. So it's something that I go back and I'm very thankful for. I'm very blessed for what my parents and my family were able to do for me. A message to begin with. I maybe it's a bit further from the question, but I do want to mention and take time to give thanks to my family. To begin with, my parents, my siblings, my sister Vianet, my older sister, my younger brother Jorge, my little sister Nazaret, who have always been there day in and day out. They know that this is something that I love, that drives me, and it's my passion. I thank them. I thank all my family, my uncles, all my friends from back home, my girlfriend from back home, everybody who's been there for me from the beginning to now. And if there's any message that I can give to any other people, it's just they'll never give up. I mean, dreams are often limited by negativity or by just giving up on yourself. So just keep pushing. There's always some type of opportunity to come up. I mean, thankfully I have an education also, which is something I'm very thankful for. And keep pushing, man. I mean, sports and education can go together. You can always, scholarships are available, so just keep grinding. I mean, keep pushing, stay humble, and keep doing what you love. Never give up on your dreams.